Hello, fellow fish reefers, and welcome to Baja 1, Baja California's first designed reef, going off of Rosarito, Mexico. As you can see in the Ensenada fish market, marine resources such as fish and shellfish are heavily relied upon for food and job security. And this is the amazing team in the Rosarito Marine Park that worked for 8 long years to sink the battleship, the Oribe, which is Baja California's first sunken ship. And it is a truly amazing dive site. There it is with the bottom in 90 feet of water and the top in 75. It's full of life. And here is 13 sea caves placed in Ensenada Harbor ready for deployment. And they'll go out in the next few weeks. They're expected to grow large amounts of kelp, which has been heavily impacted by double El Niños recently. Hold large amounts of lobsters, scallops. They're ideal for abalone planting. We can convert barren seafloor into thriving oases of life. In back, you see barnacles and mussels growing all over a ship as a sample of how life seeks opportunity. And here we are on the mid-sized ship that will deploy the 13 in a few weeks. And there's our marine engineer, Frederick, showing us how the crane works. And now it's time to head back for a bit of planning. One more shot of the ship. And there's the team. There we go. And then here we are with Ulysses of Oceaneering. And we'll go ahead and lay down the charts and the maps and all of the surveys and take a hard look at where we actually want the reefs to go. And we decided 51 feet of water is the ideal place, right dead center of the 100-acre lease site. There's hard packed sand, and our adventure down here so far has been funded by Baby Shark Token. We'd like to thank them for their generosity. And here we are at Rosarito, scouting out the beach, getting ready to launch the next day for our dive trip. The water in the area is cold from upwelling. And there's Jorge, owner of the local dive shop in Tijuana. And our faithful captain. Here we are looking. We're coming up on the spot after running for about 8 miles. Frederick knows where it is. There we are, right off the main sand dune off of Rosarito. Here's the view looking from the shore at the same spot. Making good friends is always fun. And there's the marker buoy put in the water, ready to go. Here's the gang, ready to go down and have a look. Now there's a lot of upwelling, a lot of plankton in the summer, so the visibility's a bit off, but as long as we can see the bottom, we'll be okay to do the surveys. Here it is. Hard packed sand and 51 feet of water. As you can see, there's not much going on, and that's what the Fish Reef project looks for. We look for areas that will be stimulated by placing sea caves, where we can restore and enhance in areas that really need good structure to allow more plankton to settle and grow and become greater life forms. It's one of the greatest tools that mankind has. We have the ability to actually increase the net productivity of our oceans to keep up with mankind's impacts. We'll go ahead and take a few samples. We stick the probe in the sand, see how hard it is, see how far down bedrock is. And that gives us an indication of how much settling the sea caves will go. Typically, 2 to 6 inches is about how far the sea caves settle into the sand. Not too hard, not too soft, it's just right. There you go, about 12 inches to bedrock, perfect. Here we are looking around. We swam from 65 feet into 45 feet, and now we're taking sediment samples at the bottom, which we'll look at microscopes, and now off to a replicate reef where there is natural rocky hard bottom that used to hold a thriving kelp forest until the recent double El Ninos knocked it out.
Should we look in shallower?
But we study the natural reef alongside the artificial reefs that we make to make sure that we're doing as well. And this is what you can expect when we put sea caves down. This is a Gorgonian soft coral. It's full of all kinds of amazing antioxidants and anti-inflammatories. The dolphins come in and rub themselves against it to help fight infection on their sides. And this is a pock-marked rock where the sea urchins have made a bunch of divots in the rock. And I'm showing it to you because the sea cave has a very special design where we cover it with the same exact divots to emulate the way rocks will look naturally and to give the marine life more places, more little nooks and crannies to settle. When the kelp does finally come back off of Baja and California Alta, the more good habitat that we have, the faster the kelp will return. So you see the divots that are engineered into the proprietary sea caves. Now the fish life is abundant here, even though the kelp is currently missing in action. You have calico bass, you have female sheephead, you have Garibaldi, the orange, the state fish in Alta California, but you are allowed to eat them in Baja. They're for sale in the fish market. So they're a little more skittish down here. As you can see, the fish just need a place to thrive, hide, feed, lay eggs, and that is what the sea caves provide. Now the female sheepheads start out as those little pink fish on the right, and on the left you can see a male sheephead. The sheephead is a hermaphrodite. They all start out as females, and then as they grow they turn into that beautiful black-headed, black-tailed animal with the pink in the middle and a big hump on their heads. There's another Gorgonian soft coral. And if there's too much fishing pressure, the sheephead turn into males at a very small size. As you can see here, they've turned into males at a good size, 6, 7, 8 pounds. But if you start seeing them when they're black and red at 1, 2, 3 pounds, you know that there's too much fishing pressure. So we can tell by the size of these male sheephead that this fishery is relatively healthy. And here's some dulcim red marine algae. So marine algae really wants to grow here. This is called the understory, the little marine algae that grows right on the bottom. It's very nutritious. It's used for supplements and in soups and as natural remedies the world over. And you can see in front of it a brown algae called a laminaria, which is a wide-bladed algae. So you can see that the marine algae really wants to come back, and we plan on seeing very large giant kelp stocks here in the future on this reef and then again on the sea caves. And there's a tunic, which is a kind of a worm that grows on a rock, and some more Garibaldi. Garibaldi, the state fish, named after an Italian labor leader. You see good amounts of sheephead. At certain times of year, this reef is full of lobster, or langosta as they call them down here. And some bat stars. I'm showing you the inside of that cave because that's relatively the same size as a sea cave will be in terms of the cave area. Because marine life needs good cave area to hide and to lay their eggs. Just round boulders are good, but what you really want is that cryptic area inside that things can hide. And that's actually somewhat rare in the marine environment. So the more of it that we create, the more giant kelp like this that you'll get in the end. And here we are with the sediment sample. And as you can see, there's not much in it. And we'll study at the lab. And thank you for helping ocean life thrive, and we hope that you'll come down and dive our reef soon. Hasta luego.